Hello, my friend. Welcome. I am CharLee Simons on Do Not Talk. Called that because we actually do talk about the two things you're never supposed to talk about: politics and religion. One decides what life is like here on earth. The other one decides what life is going to be like for us after we leave it. We're all in this together, brothers and sisters. We're all in this together, whether you like it or not, whether you reject that premise or not, doesn't matter. We all come from the same creator of the universe, and we're all created in his image. And we're all put on this planet to figure it out and to get along. And I want to thank you so much for supporting this show the way you have. Like this show right now. If you could hit that like button for me, wherever you're watching, Facebook, YouTube, hit that like button, follow the channel or subscribe on rumble.com/DoNotTalk. And if you want to see any past shows, or you always have a place you can go to stay in touch with what I'm doing and to stay in touch with me, you can contact me. You can even schedule yourself to be on the show, and you can help financially. If you can help, that would be a tremendous blessing. Please pray about that, because this ministry doesn't really pay. In fact, it costs me money to do it. So thank you for getting involved and helping at CharLeeSimons.com. CharLee, spelt that way because my name is Charles Lee Simons, one M with an S on the end, CharLeeSimons.com. I thank you for this. I thank you for being here. I thank Rex Ledesma, who is my guest today on the show. He's got an event coming up down in Southern California. Or no, actually, it's not. He's in Southern California, but this is an event coming up for everybody anywhere, all over the world, as a matter of fact. And I wanted you to meet him and know that he's one of my brothers in arms. That's a figurative expression, not actually taking up arms, but I'm talking about fighting the good fight. He is with like me, California Republican Assembly, also California GOP. He's a delegate like I am. We vote. We're helping to shape the political party of the Republicans in the state of California as much as we can. And we're all on board with MAGA, Make America Great Again. And even in our own party in the state of California, there's people who hate us for that. You can think those things and you can feel that way, but you can't actually come out and say it. Screw that, Rex. I'm going to come right out and say it. I don't care what they think anymore. Hello, my friend. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you, CharLee? Thanks for having me on.
I'm borderline amazing. I see what's going on financially. You and I, you're also a follower of Christ Jesus, like I. We know and understand that peace beyond all understanding. That's promised in Scripture, that peace beyond all understanding through God's Holy Spirit. And I pray for that. I pray for that for us. I pray for that for discernment, because Jesus told us to ask for that. Ask for discernment. We need to know what's of God and what's not. So Correct. We can't be fooled, and read his word. That's the best way to avoid any kind of doubt, actually reading his word. Imagine that. Correct. A chapter a day keeps false teachers away. Now, on the financial side of things, we've been burned. We all in our lives have been burned some way, somewhere, somehow. I can tell you stories. So I'm pretty guarded when it comes to talking about money and investments in particular, because 2008 was disastrous, financially ruined me. I lost 3 houses to foreclosure in the same year. I had up to that point always invested in the stock market, but I read Robert Kiyosaki's book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and then he did one that was all about real estate, and that's where I learned about OPM, other people's money, and I had a great credit rating, and I started utilizing the bank's money for my investments in real estate. I'm a media guy. What do I know about real estate? Well, I started learning, and I actually bought my first property and did most of the repairs myself to make it more palatable and attractive. What they call curb. And I don't even remember what it's called. Curb appeal.
Reveal,
To improve the curb appeal of the house, and turned around and made
to increase value, yep.
thousands of dollars
Hopefully
on the
more than
property.
that, right? Hopefully
Uh,
tens of thousands.
Dude, I can
Yep.
do this. So I
Yep.
kind of jumped all in. The biggest mistake I made when things started getting bad, I had already started a business. I had all this going on and properties, and I'm flipping them or renting them. Worth a couple of mil. I'm doing all right. I'm just a good old boy from Bakersfield. I'm like, shoot, look, this works. This is great. But there are other forces outside of us who, especially with what happened in '07, '08, very nefarious, very
Yeah.
dirty dealings, very crooked crap. And it's the worst is when it actually comes from the government and those who are elected to allegedly protect us from bad things. They didn't. They were all on board, it seemed like, for the most part, when you get into the discussion of what happened in 2008. So I'm telling you all this to preface, I'm a little guarded now because I lost everything. I have not been back in the stock market. I don't own any real estate. I'm renting now. I've been renting for 8 years. That's the longest I've ever rented in my life because I don't like making somebody else's mortgage payment. But I'm
Right.
very guarded, Rex. And
So
especially now, there's precarious things going on that we see with China is virtually on collapse. So is Canada, and what's happening with tariffs, and so on and so forth. What do we do?
so
How do I
so
trust?
that is, thank you for that intro, by the way. And there is a lot to unpack in your monologue, so to speak.
Yeah, you
Um,
think?
I'd like to kind of address a couple of other things first. I think that no matter where you are in your life, you're never too old to do something, to start over, to start again. I think that that's a misnomer with people in general. Like if they hit a certain age and it's too late for them, that's just not
Right.
true.
Good. I'm
President
glad to hear
Trump,
that because I am
President
now at that age.
yeah, President Trump talked about in a lot of his speeches, he talked about all the people he's known. In his book, I think I'm going through his book right now, The Art of the Deal, where he actually details different types of people that he's known, whether they made it, whether they were handed a silver spoon, whether they made it on their own in their early 20s to their early 30s, 40s, and even into their 80s, they finally made it. So the lesson there is no matter what's happening, all the stuff that we as citizens cannot control, we have the ability to control our own lives and make decisions to move the dial in the direction how we want to design our own lives. And that's important to take away from that. Now, the other part that you're talking about when it comes to China and the tariffs and the economy, the one interesting thing that I'd like to point out here that it strays away from the financial side first is the fact that China built a couple of generations where their population went down, and so therefore, as the timeline moves forward, what we're seeing in real time now is the fact that China doesn't have the infrastructure to take care of its own people. Meaning, you have a lot. It's top heavy. You have a lot of people who are in those senior ages where they're going through senior living, but they don't have the proper resources to take care of their people.
Oh,
And
there's that. Yeah. Oh, good
and
heavens.
that's a big part of the finance piece because you cannot have a successful economy without continuing the birth rate. And that's something that we're finding now. And we're seeing those trends within European countries and even here in the United States. I think Tim Pool has been talking about that on his podcast lately. And I've been watching that very carefully and doing my own research on that. So I find that very interesting. In terms of the tariffs and everything we're seeing right now, I'm not going to say that I know exactly what's going on, but I can see from the media and the news that these tariffs aren't what the media said they were going to be in terms of destroying the economy. In fact,
Not at all. As a matter of fact, quite the opposite. 70 something countries are all suddenly going, let's
right,
talk.
right. And on top of that, if we're going to go
It's
ahead
very
and
effective.
single out China, it's kind of like, well, they're actually starting to come to the table and actually want to discuss deals now versus before that just wasn't on the table, specifically with previous administration. So I find that very interesting how the media kind of spun it one way, and it's almost like you wonder who they're really supporting when you really look back at what we've seen in the media.
They're
Just my take.
supporting. They're not supporting what we're supporting. That's for sure.
Well, this country,
Uh,
we should be an America first country. There's nothing wrong with promoting and wanting your own country to succeed. That's a very good thing. We want our citizens to thrive.
how about that?
Yeah, imagine that.
It's kind of essential, as a matter of fact, if you're
Yeah.
going to stay a sovereign nation. Uh, the future, if you're focused totally on stock market, everybody is so hilarious. Everybody in the stupid, crappy, devil-serving media was freaking out over the stock market collapse. Collapse. This is it. Look what Trump has done. He's ruined everything. 2 days later, it comes back, record-setting rebound and
Yeah,
growth.
interesting how that worked, right?
And they shut up. I never heard anything about it anymore after that, did I now?
Yeah.
So uh,
So when it
stock
comes
market
to
is
the
so
market itself, you never, you definitely want to diversify your money. You never want to keep it in one, obviously. But
don't
when it
make my
comes to the
mistake
stock market,
when I took everything I had and put it into real estate. Yeah.
yeah, and no, lesson learned, right? And
Mhm.
that risk that you took could have rewarded you major gains, but it just didn't work out that way. But that's not to say that it could never happen, right? There are exceptions to every rule thing, but there are trends that you want to follow, and you want to make sure that you minimize the risk when it comes to your money. And that's the biggest thing with diversification of your assets. So you want to make sure that whatever you do, you don't put it all in one basket, because if that basket breaks, then you're kind of stuck. And I know you know that. And I know generally your audience members know that as well. I think everyone who watches this, they're all civically minded. They watch politics, they watch religion, and they watch enough of the economy to kind of know that the media is lying.
Mhm. What are you suggesting?
What am I suggesting when it comes to your money? Talk to the right people. Talk to people you trust. Um, don't just go off of, like, a talking head online.
No,
Um,
no. So please don't do that. But
because a
even
lot of
people
people
that I
have.
trusted,
I'm
even
guilty of
people,
that.
yeah, I know.
Yeah,
Even people that I trusted back when I lost everything, they lost too.
yeah, yeah. And
So
that's the thing. It's like people always think with the market, like, it's always reactionary. The market eventually does recover, so you just want to keep that in mind when you're doing your investment. I'm in a finance in investment chat group. It's just an old coworker of mine who's done very well for himself out in Texas. He started this group to kind of have these chats with people who just had to spitfire a question like, "Hey, is this a good idea to invest here?" And it's not like they're telling you, yes, do this or do that, but at least you get enough voices to get that idea of whether it's worth putting your money into. And that's my main point: getting into groups of people, finding a network of people that you can kind of relate with and you trust, that you can kind of bounce ideas off of. There's nothing wrong with that. It's good to what I've been learning lately is your network is your net worth. And you definitely want to pay attention to the people who are doing very well. Growing up, unfortunately, I come from a family where we didn't really make it super big, and I think the biggest lesson that growing up was like, oh, we just don't talk about money. And now that I'm meeting other people outside my inner circle, that my circle is widening, I'm finding the successful people, they don't mind sharing their success, they don't mind sharing their ideas.
no,
And then
yeah.
that's the thing. It's like, okay, well, if you're being told, like, don't talk about money, just like politics and religion, that's probably not the best advice. I'm just saying that right now.
It's terrible advice.
Yeah.
And you're absolutely right about following the advice of those who have actually already done well.
Hmm.
Not somebody who just, well, I read a book and that guy said I can buy real estate and become an absolute multimillionaire. Um,
And those books are still good. I still
expand
recommend
your territory is what I'm
read
thinking.
read those books, educate yourself, but
Yeah.
also read a lot of different books. The more voices you get to read and get influenced by, the better chance you'll have at making a sound decision when you're working with your money.
Digital currency. That seems to be on the horizon, and
It is.
we're almost there. Especially over in Europe, European countries, they're all rushing headlong right into it and accepting it, and nobody's stopping to think, holy cow, I'm going to lose every single bit of control of my money that I ever had before. There's not going to be any cash that I can actually hold. Everything's going to have to be gold and silver. This cryptocurrency thing too. I just don't know where to go or what to do, so I'm doing nothing. I'm now finding myself to be one of those, the guy I said I would never be. I'm a fixed
You're
income guy.
becoming.
I'm a
So
fixed income guy now. And so I'm doing nothing other than just kind of like going paycheck to paycheck and hoping I have a balance at the end of the month.
yeah, so that's interesting that you bring that up because crypto and all the digital currency, that's something that's relatively new. I mean, I know it's been around for about like what 10 plus years by now, but in terms of the standard in which people spend their money and use things to pay with, I know a lot of it's gone digital. We're moving that direction, but there's generally there's still some hesitancy. I can understand why. We want to keep in mind that at the point that these changes have happened over the generations, there was always fear input into this first, right? So let me kind of back up. Once upon a time, we always just used, before there were coins and dollars, we actually had precious metals. We actually spent, we purchased our goods and services using actual precious metals. And then it moved over to the fiat dollars, and there's a whole nother thing we could talk about with that, but I'm just going to leave
Yeah.
it with the fact that we changed the system. And then in the 70s, I would say even earlier than the credit card started up, there was a big scare over that, like, oh, we're gonna everything's going to be destroyed. And then we go into more digital. Well, it was
Is
checks
that
first,
wrong?
cards.
Is it
You know,
wrong? Did we recreate? Did it not create a debtor nation where every
it
single,
did. It
almost
actually
all of
did.
us are in debt of some kind, some sort?
It actually did, and you're right. But my point being, it's like the fear is normal, and it's okay to question things like your audience would, and I encourage that. Right? It doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to be led into debt. Debt is not ultimately, you're not sentenced to debt no matter where you are in your life. Okay. There are ways to get out of it. You just need to talk to the right people to kind of help you strategize and find ways, given the current methods that we have available to us, to kind of build yourself out of that. So there are answers. You just find yourself with the right people, follow what they're doing, people you trust that have shown you that they could do it, and
Yeah.
then you'll find yourself in a better place as well.
Which is why I encourage you to take advantage of this thing that Rex is doing coming up.
May
Tell us
15th.
about it. This is a perfect opportunity for you to hear from, listen to, learn from, and even respond, talk back and forth, because there's going to be a chat room thing, I'm sure, of an online event that's featuring one of these people who have done extremely well. And here's what you can do to improve your lot in life financially. And what is that?
So just to get the conversation going, I recommend, if you're up for it, come on to my grand opening. I'm partnered with Team Legends. It's a finance group that we're starting up. We've started. I'm starting with them, and I'm excited about it because I've been training and learning with a bunch of finance experts. The main person, my trainer is going to be on, Ernie Wang. She's wonderful. She's good to work with, but also the key speaker is going to be Waling Coffee, Hwaling, Waling Coffee. She's been in this industry for more than 20 years. She'd already built a nice fortune for herself through real estate. So she has her real estate business. She's a great person to talk to when it comes to those aspects of finance. But she didn't need to do this business, because she is a follower of Jesus, follower of God. She wanted to pay it forward, and that's important. Yeah,
Freely you receive, so freely give.
correct.
I
Yeah,
love that. That's an awesome attitude. I wish more believers had that attitude. It's in the Word. I
yeah.
think we need
And you know what, Charlie, I can certainly appreciate and I respect the people out there, the people of faith who have taken the oath of of poverty, or not get, they wanted to make sure, like, I'm not going to be materialistic. But when you really think about it, the impact that you can make if you can build your fortune is that you can actually pay it forward and do more good in this world. And that's the one thing, that money isn't the source of all evil, it's greed. And money simply magnifies the person you are.
It's the
That's an
love of
important
money. Yeah.
takeaway. Yep.
It's the love
Yep.
of money. Which God are you going to serve?
Correct.
The creator or the created? And I
Exactly.
choose to serve the creator. I think this is great. I'm looking forward to it, and because I like to listen. I like to get inspired in ways to do better in something that I have failed at in the past, or maybe never even thought of. So when is this, and how do we get involved?
Oh, the event's going to be Thursday, May 15th. It's going to be at 6 p.m. Pacific. It's virtual. So you'll have to register on the link. You can find me on Facebook or Instagram. I'm connected to CharLee on DoNotTalk, so you can easily find me. I'm not that hard to find. And just direct message me. I'll send you a unique link that you'll be able to register, to be able to sign up and start the conversation.
Ledesma. Rex Ledesma. Do you have any kind of place we could go instead of trying to find it through my show, like a website, or do you want to give out your email or anything like
Oh
that?
yeah, you can. It's my email. You could email me at rledesma, so RLEDESMA at Gmail. It's my personal. I check it frequently, all the time. And also, I have my professional site, because I'm also in. I also do finance and senior living, so it's also rledesma at Memory Care Support. Either one of those emails are going to work fine, or you could text me at 949-394-3093.
Nobody's ever ready to write down a phone number, so let's give out your number one more time and slowly.
Text me at area code 949-394-3093.
Okay, right on, brother. And this is right in the middle of May, May 15th. You said
May 15th. Yep. I'm
6
excited.
p.m. Pacific
6
time.
p.m. Pacific. It's going to be a great event. My grand opening. Looking forward to it.
Right on, my friend. All right. I hope it's hugely successful for you. And thank you for telling us all about it and give us a little heads up.
Thanks, Charlie. I appreciate you and all the work that you do to kind of keep the good fight, and really speaking the truth, because there's not enough truth out there. So your show, I greatly appreciate your show. You have a lot of good guests on, excluding me. I'm talking about your other guests, very strong people, and I'm glad I know a lot of them.
All right, my friend. I'll talk to you later. Thanks for the
Okay.
compliment. Rex is one of the best people you could ever meet and get to know, and a hard worker, fighting the good fight. And speaking of fighting the good fight, you can help me through supporting the show financially if you can. CharLeeSimons.com, CharLeeSimons, CharLeeSimons.com. May God bless you and keep you. May God bless America. But most importantly, America bless God.